People living in informal settlements are bearing the brunt of the harsh weather in Cape Town. Many of their homes have been flooded, but the city isn't able to offer alternative accommodation because lockdown regulations forbid crowds in confined spaces like halls and churches. James Brent Stein, spokesperson for the Western Cape Environmental Affairs Department, joins me from Cape Town now for more on this. A very good evening to you. So the weather seems as if it's going to get worse. What is it that you are expecting in the coming days?
Hi, good evening, Jane. Yeah, we've had a long week, a very wet week, and certainly the conditions are expected to continue until at least Sunday, when we should see some respite for some time to come, we hope. That we can finish with the mopping up and cleaning up following the storms we've had this week. So very cold, very wet for at least another 2 days.
And you've issued a warning about some of the flooded dams and rivers, the amount of water that you are seeing and the danger that it can pose to people.
Yeah, so the conditions are, we've had a very wet week. So all the rivers in the province are rising. They are moving very fast. So outside the city of Cape Town, we are urging people to stay away from the rivers. People in close proximity to rivers are it's very dangerous. Fast-moving water. You don't know what might be within the water. So people often, even in vehicles, it's quite it does pose a threat. The conditions. The storm has caused damage. Trees have been overthrown. Lots of rubble, mudslides in some areas outside the city of Cape Town. So driving around the province is challenging. We want to urge people to just take care, especially at night. The municipalities are cleaning up, they're mopping up, but it does still rain in many areas in the province. The conditions are difficult. We're just urging caution and patience at the moment. Within the city of Cape Town, of course, the challenge is the localized flooding within the low-lying communities, many of them vulnerable communities. And this is an ongoing challenge. We had a good day today in terms of the weather. Not a lot of rain, but certainly the rain expected to set in again at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning. So we do expect the conditions to remain challenging tomorrow and to further exacerbate the prevailing challenges in the areas that we've already identified.
I mean, it's such a problem, isn't it, because of COVID and the fact that you can't help people by taking them from their homes if many of their homes are underwater and putting them into halls, because that just doesn't work.
Yeah. It's really a disaster upon a disaster at the moment. The city believing that the COVID risk is the greater risk at the moment. Putting people into confined spaces is posing a greater risk at the moment. So that's the city's reasoning behind the decision based on the COVID regulations at the moment. This is, of course, very challenging. There are communities that are really struggling, being hit quite hard. Must be pointed out that many of these communities, in fact, built in areas. These are illegal structures in some of these areas, very low-lying areas. Some areas built within retaining dams, within stormwater channels. So these are areas the city has been unable to provide structural support. The city, obviously, before the winter, knows which areas are most at risk. So they do a lot of work pre-season to try to build up sandbanks and channels to divert expected water. But in many of these illegally erected structure areas, you can't do that. These are wetlands. These are, as I mentioned, within some areas, a retaining dam wall. You can't make physical changes in those areas. So this is a massive challenge. We've got to understand the city of Cape Town has seen in the past 15 to 20 years gone from about 2 million people to about 6 million people. So there's massive challenges, and especially in the winter.
All right, James, thanks for sharing your experience and your warnings for the coming days. Thank you.